Hey people, got some good stuff on this third angel in Revelations 8:10 that poisoned all the waters, a great burning like a torch, and fell upon the third of the rivers, and upon the springs of the waters. It says he sounded his trumpet. But they got all this mistranslated. It says poison the waters all up here, and they forced this down here. But this is the waters right here, WOTRITOS. The water it has, and this reads backwards, the soilage, SOLEG. The soilage, the water it has soilage, and then the gaggalos. And the Jackals are the dead. You know, the Jackals is the haggle of angels. So I'm going to get back to this with a better definition, but I got about 20 tabs opened up since I got here. So I'm going to start here at Numbers 1 in the second line, and it talks about according to the number of their names. But it's the kutta, and then a rhythm on, ARITHMON. To cut a rhythm on, you know, that's when we're playing music. Give me a beat, to cut a rhythm on. And onomaton, maton is that which is from, or that which is fashioned from. Ono, from one. But you can't see it in here. You have to look in this Septuagint, and you can see it's the kata, and then the mark is here, so it's a katanometer. A nometer is a gauge, for gauging the meter, the time. A meter is time, to gauge the time. According to nometer, the gauge of the time, a rhythm on. And then they added a word in here, and it's XEX. And it's a rhythm on its sets. And then sought, SOT, sought, to looking, sought, and then mono, a single, a single nam atos, the name, to know that which is fashioned from. So I knew this was coded when I started, but I thought I'd be able to pick out the names that would be good. But that's what this is saying, is according to the nometer, a rhythm on, not to from one name it on. So it doesn't have one name, it works with a rhythm. The name is always changing with the number. And you can see it in the Hebrew here in this word for the number, is cipher, from cipher, which actually reads different in here, but the base word for the number, in the book and everything is a cipher. And it means none of it's read, it all has to be ciphered. So I found this in Corinthians where he was giving them a ration, and it repeats this word all the way down, and so I knew that this would help to decode all the other words. And he's talking about, did you ask, the pole aki, did you ask here aki, and the kind of noise, when pole here and the kind of noise, it's add oi, add call, did you ask here, did you poll here, did you ask these people and these people, the kind of noise from these people, and they got all these mixed up here. So this starts 2 Corinthians 11:16, it goes down to 29, and it's called Paul's suffering and service, and it goes down and talk about how he got beat by the Jews 5 times 40, 200 minus 1, 199 times. 3 times beat with rods and stone, 3 times shipwrecked, and day and night, and walked to school in the snow, barefooted, uphill, both ways. And all because he was a servant of Christ. So the title of this, if I grab it with my snip tool and pull a little closer together, you can see it says, palinlegitism. Pal pal is your buddy, and in ledge he says, OM them, he says 'em. Pal in legem, what your buddy says, it, pal in legem, it ism. Belief. Ism is a belief. The belief in what your pal in legem it says. He got beat for his beliefs. It was his pal in legem it ism. And so what was being alleged is the documents, the docs, DOX and then ETS. The docs, it's so, and then doc, DH, The documents, the docs, it's so, doc, deport. The ones he handed over. The docs, it's so doc on our fakerona. On our, and then QAQ. Just like the Hebrew. Sometimes it's the F, sometimes it's the K. And the fakeronas. His documents are fakeronas. And we'll see where this word pal comes up again in principalities. That's that same pal in there. And it starts out with a bunch of boasting over here, foolishness and boasting. The coaches those of boasting, the coach and the cokes, and the cokes on it, and the coaches who may. But this, according to the flesh that he was boasting about, is the coach on take it. The coach on take it as our cock, and then backwards, a gag. Our cock a gag of coaches may, may the coach. Whoever's coaching them may, our cock a gag on the flesh. So this word for Hebrews, this is ever a joy. Ever a joy, the other word. The oyer being B-E, and then E, and then N. Ever a joy, oyer being. Oyer is the judge, the oyer and terminer. He's going to hear it and determine the results. And ever a joy, oyer ben, is his in Kogago. Kogago. This is the ancient name for a Cadillac. K-A-G-O, but instead you turn around, so it's a K-O-G-A-G-O. In a cargo, that's a type of litter used as means of human transportation by the non-samurai class. It wasn't a Cadillac, it was a Lincoln. And so that cargo, that's how people would be reading it if they didn't understand all the extra signs, or possibly the older reading before it was changed. But ever a joy, the oyer ben, is his in a cargo other than samurai transportation. Yet, this word for Israelites, let's read backwards. The yet it, Lars is. Yet it Lars is, rule it too. And then the Gen, J-E-N-I-S-I-S-I, and Genesis in. And yet Lars is rule it to Genesis in. Ever a joy, the oyer ben, is his in cargo. The company gag, the gago, the company gago. Same place your word Winnebago come from, the car. Even though the oyer, he likes his big old car, yet Lars is rule it to Genesis in. Genesis to the beginning in. And in the pledges of upper balance, sought all of repos, to take them back in thanatos. And up of annoy ado, Eudaeon pentakes tesser account. The pentakes tesser account is not necessarily 5 times 40. The pentakeys, the 5 keys, and the tesser is the collector, the harvester. The tesser account. paramaya. And so para, this is a word I've been looking at a lot lately. And most of the definitions, it just fits in with other than. When you put this para in front of all the words, it fits in front of. Different fits most of them. Like but different. But paramaya, maya is 1. So a pair of ones is 11. The paramayan is 11, E-L-A-V-O-N. And so it's not just 11, but it's the novel 11. The novel 11 is the paramayans. And beaten with rods, that's tries, T-R-Y-S. And tries not siding, N-H-T-S-I-D-B is in. And tries not siding are, and then this way, the rabbit is then. I tried not to take sides in it, and that's when they got rabid, would beat me with rods. And a fax upon, A-P-A-N, a fax upon it, so tile is to cover a space that covers the light as then. And tries not siding are, the rabbit is then, a fax upon it, so the tile light is in. And tries a shagavon, never goes, nuts them are on in. So a vagabond, was lost, wander, and I guess a shagavon is shipwrecked. Hey baby, I wrecked my ship. I'm stuck up here on the island with you. And this is line 26 where I'll match up. I'm going to look at it closer. And then it ends here at 29. Tis yes in this, as then they woke. A cock in this as then on. It is the scandalize it to. Woke, W-O-K, and then Vav. Woke a cog ego. The pure hume. That's where they get that fire from, P-U-R, the pure of hume. And this word ego, this is I go. And you see it in this word ogi. It's ego backwards, and it means I. And even in languages that it doesn't mean I, they still have to add I to the meaning of it. It's the eye on a peacock's tail, the eye of a needle, the ability to see. And it's also the name of this bird, which in Yoruba, is beautiful, to the eye, pleasing to the eye ogi. And so when it's read with the mark, backwards, it's the I, and then go, I go pure, P-U-R, the pure of, O-V, the pure of, and then move the O-M, the pure of a may, may I leave clean. I'm not going to be in the Senate no more, y'all are all dirty, and not do burn inwardly, but to purify, that's where the fire comes from, the pure of a may, the pure of a may. So this line 26, it's got all these words that are same in here. And you see some that are the same and they change the meaning to fit. But it's had oi, O-D-O-I, had oi. And so that's had call attention to, oi. Had oi, had call, and then P-O-R, for. Had called for yeas, Y-A-Y-S. Had called for yeas. So we done did all the talking, let's vote on it. And let's have a call for yeas. Do I have any yeas? Do I have any nays? And so had called for yeas, and then turns around. And then the seer, S-I-A-I-R, the seer. You got the oyer and the seer, the one who sees it. And the seer of yada. The yada, the hand of. Had oi for yea, seer of yada, of the hand, pole a keys, pole here. And so, the kind of noise, are when always, when calls, and that's a noise, that kind of noise. And so that's the votes they're not wanting to hear. You had call for yea, the seer of hand of, the pole here, a kind of noise of the pot of mammon, the pot to mom, and the pot mama carries to the river to fill it with water every day. Did you ask there where the mothers are carrying the pot to water? The kind of voice, the kind of noise of Helen on Tess's totem, Helen is, L of HLN is Greece, and then ON, bring the N over, on Tess, TSES, on collects totem, on harvest the totem. The highway tax collectors. The kind of noise like, the KE is the L, and the other way you're just reading the K, like. The kind of noise like genus, from the own type of genus, the like genes, my own race. And the kind of noise it's sex, XEX, TSEX. The kind of noise it's sex, none, theatin on, the theatin, THETEN, the theatin on. The theatin is the lowest class of the Grecians. And then it turns here, now it's the kind of noise ben, BN. The kind of noise been holy, police, the pole they. And the kind of noise been is, the A, and then the E is ES, is Rami, RHMI, the branches, AIMHRE. Is Rami aim here, the branches aim here, in the wilderness. In some trees, the branches, they all aim down. Sometimes they all aim up, depending on the tree. But that may read, is the rich, RH, the rich Mia, the rich one, the rich Mayam, the rich waters here. And the kind of noise in the lashes is salet. The lashes are salet. The salet is the ritual prayer of the Muslims, performed 5 times daily, the Pentatessa count, the 5 to harvest count. The kind of noise in the lashes is salet, kind of noise in Sue. And so, there are no words that start with a PS. Why they even have to create this letter that has no use? It's a SP is what it is, and it's the kind of noise in spewed, the adel of worthy foes, of worthy enemies, the kind of noise in spewed of worthy foes. And so he's getting on to them, for when they made this law, who'd you ask? Did you ask the people? You didn't ask none of these worthy people that'll put up a fight. You asked the woman toting the water, and you asked the road robbers, and you asked your own kind, and you asked the slaves that you're screwing, but you didn't ask nobody that would put up a worthy fight. So this is the word I was looking at, what sent me back here. I was reading in Revelations. It's where your hippopotamus comes from. The potamus, is the hippo is the horse. They say the potamus is the river, but I believe it means more as the bottom of, the bottom of. So this in Revelations, the water, it is soilage, gagalos. And so a gaggle, that's a group of geese. It has several meanings, all these words do. But it's also, WOT, the what writ as. So ledge. What writ as so alleged? It's been so alleged, it means it's soilage, it's trash, it's not admissible in court. That's hearsay, so allege. But it's what it writ as so allege, the Gaggalos. And so the gaggle is the angels, in that a gaggle is a group of harpists. It's a flock of geese is a gaggle. Or a group of violinists is a gaggle. And it comes from this word, a jealous. You have a cellos is a big violin, and you have a jealous. It's a small violin, and it's jealous. So what writ as so ledge Gaggalos, the angels that writ this, and then the N-E backwards. N-E is B, means in. Insipal, S-I-P-L-A, insipal. This is a word that Collins had a hard time interpreting. But there's only a couple words in the world that end with sipal. Your principal and your disciples, two of them. And so your exsipal is the layer of cells enclosing the apothecium in most lichens. The lichens is what you use to test the acids. The sipal is the black material that holds the spores in. This is the apothecium. And a participle is has to do with verbs. And they say this principle comes from prince, but it doesn't. And this is the biggest clue to the word. It's per incipal. They say it means chief or boss. But you can see here in the parenthesis, the pals, in your pals. But the prince doesn't come from where you think prince comes from. Principle is a fundamental truth or preposition that serves as the foundation for a system of belief or behavior, or for a chain of reasoning. But they have no idea where this part of the word sipple comes from. But we see it shine right here in this Pareto principle. Pareto principle comes from 1896, and it states that roughly 80% of consequences come from 20% of cause, the vital few. Other names for this principle are the 80-20 rule, the law of vital few, or the principle of factor sparsity. So he wrote this principle in 96, and it says 80% of the wealth are owned by 20% of the people. And that leaves 80% of the people owning 20% of the wealth. And so this word principle, it's per. Per is a fraction. Per is the house, a fraction. Per how many per n, I-N. Per n. 80 per n 100. And so the sipple is the precipitate. And so if you're looking at 20% of the cause, the precipitate is on the other side of the fraction, is the 80%. And you have to precipitate it from the 100. And so the principle is per n cipher. The per n cipher. What has to be ciphered out? What's precipitated? The cause, an event or situation. Typically one that is bad or undesirable. A cause, a substance to be deposited in a solid form or solution. They give it a meaning in Spanish and say it means chief. And in English it's just short for principle. But it's this ancient alchemy sign for why. Cause and why. And it's precipitate. You see how this is a layer, and it has a drop, precipitation dripping off of it. A precipitate. You see the old symbols for sublime and precipitate. And this came from an older symbol that was just the single line with the bubble. It didn't have the line above. And it comes from this older Egyptian sign, they call that which is not known. And it symbolized somebody going out in the rain. It symbolizes the way somebody would hold their hands while standing in the rain. And this is also the ancient symbol for I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. Where does it come from? I don't know. But the alchemists knew that it come from precipitation, the pose of precipitation. And so the galgalos, they also represent death. You know, that's in the winter, that's when we get the gaggles show up down south here. You know, they go north all summer. And so when the winter comes, you know, that's death, and that's when all the gaggles of geese show up down here. And the water, it has soilage, the gaggles. And, you know, the water is full of geese soilage. And so what writ as the soulage, as alleged the gaggalos, the angels, in cipher, you know, in cipher says, S-E-S, says all pissin. So it's talking about this old apothecary, the pot to carry, and the Greeks pissing in the pot, you know, the soilage. So I did too much cutting making this movie and unloaded my program up. So I'm going to have to finish this up in the next one. I'll start right here. Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.